what was going on with the... Hey, Dallas, I see you back there. Hold on just a second. Let me get into the Facebook, and then I'll bring you on camera. Doot. Mm. Okay. Good deal. Add to stage. Hey. Okay. Can you hear me? Oh, there you are. Hey, what's up? Can you hear me? No? Okay. Check and see if you're muted. Testing, testing. 1, 2, 3.
Audio, mic.
There you are.
Speaker. Testing, testing.
I hear you.
Everything works.
Can you hear me? No? Okay.
But I tested mine.
What about now? You can't hear me?
No.
Hello. Testing, testing. 1, 2, 3. Okay.
I tested my mic and speakers and they worked.
So I can hear you, but you can't hear me. Okay. Let's see. Hello, hello. Because on my end, it says that you should be able to hear me. Okay. It's better. Hello. Let's see.
Try.
Now, can you hear me now?
Put this back.
No? Okay.
Maybe.
Can you hear me now? Hey, everybody, can you guys hear me? If you can hear me, will you put 1 in the chat? And Dallas, if you can hear me, let me know. Me and Dallas are trying to make this happen, you guys, but we kind of didn't prepare, and so now we're having technical difficulties. Can you hear me?
Yeah,
no?
Speaker.
Recording layouts. I can hear you.
I can hear you.
Thank you, Jesus. We figured it out.
I don't know. Was it me?
I don't know. It's okay, though. It doesn't matter. We figured it out. That's all that matters, right?
All right.
I was starting to go, I swear it's the devil working against us. He doesn't want us to share this information with people about recovery from meth addiction. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
So, hey guys, what's up, everybody? Welcome to the live stream. We were going to do this live over on TikTok, but we were having some technical difficulties over there as well. We couldn't get it figured out. So we decided to just come over here and be with everybody here over on Facebook. This is my friend Dallas Bragg. He is a recovery coach. He is in recovery from methamphetamine addiction, and he is so amazing. I had him on like about a month ago, and he came and shared his story with us. And so tonight we are just going to talk about recovering from meth addiction, particularly dealing with triggers and cravings. So if you guys have any questions, drop them down in the comment section. Help us out. Share this live. Let me know where you're from, how long you've been sober. If you're not sober, that's okay too. Okay. You're always welcome here. We want you to be here, whether you're in recovery or not, whether you're thinking about recovery, sober, curious, whatever. If you're practicing harm reduction, everybody's welcome here no matter what. So, Dallas, what's going on?
Hey, I was trying to get to your live on. Yeah, I was going to share your live on mine if I could, but I don't know. Yeah. It's everything's so easy but confusing. Technology.
I know, I'm learning too still. Hey, Nate, where's that other phone at? The black phone. over there, because I'm going to use it to share this video out while we're live too. Oh, there it is. Thank you, baby.
You're welcome.
So come on in, you guys. Come hang out with us.
I follow you on Instagram, do I not?
We're on Facebook.
Oh, only Facebook. Okay.
Oh yeah, I don't know how to. You know what? I probably could have done it to both, but I don't have StreamYards hooked up to my Instagram. I just have it hooked up to my Facebook account. So I just went onto Facebook, which was
well, one of these nights too. We could do it on Riverside that I use, and it can go on Facebook and Instagram too.
I would love that. I would love that because I need to pay attention to my I need to post live streams on my Instagram. I only go live over there like every once in a while. I try to go live here on YouTube and on Facebook at least every day or once or twice a week if I don't go every day.
So are we on YouTube as well?
No, we're just on Facebook.
Okay. Well, I'm sharing it now. So
thank you. I'm sharing as well. Hey, everybody. Hey, Anna. Anna, I talked to Alfredo today, and we had an emotional conversation about what's going on and everything. And so I said this is what my suggestion to him was, to just wait until November, because he said he has till November to accept the deal, and pray about it until then, and really just meditate, maybe try to get a second opinion, a free consultation with another attorney. But I just want to let you know that he did call me and I talked to him today. That's my best good friend's mom. He is locked up right now because of some stuff that happened when he was in his addiction. He got really messed up and was having an emergency kind of a meth psychosis situation, and he carjacked some people. He didn't hurt anybody or do anything violent, but he, came up to them and said, you need to give me your car. And so he's in jail right now, facing quite a bit of time. And so, yeah, it's just so depressing. It makes me so sad. My husband's even upset for him, y'all. Because whenever Alfredo calls, we talk on speakerphone a lot, and my husband hears. I always ask him what's going on in the jail and how's everything going with the guys there, because I know there's always going to be drama in the men's jail, So, but yeah, I talked to him today. But so yeah, let's talk about triggers and cravings. So I had actually talked about this like a day or so ago. Okay, I'm waiting for you. You ready?
Yeah, I saw that, but I'm echoing. So let me try to. I'm going to try my phones.
Okay.
Go ahead. I mean, I saw that you were sharing the cravings, talking about that.
So I talked about triggers and cravings the other day, you guys, and I wanted to ask you guys this. Are triggers and cravings the same thing? Or, to me, this is what I believe, and you tell me, Dallas. I believe that a trigger is a thought. It's like a thought that manifests itself inside our mind. And if we give it too much attention, then that's when we start kind of like overthinking it and planning it out. And then we start to put action behind it. And then also a craving, right, would be something like, once you take something into your body, then you crave more of it. Like, when a woman says she's pregnant, she's craving pickles or whatever. She ate a pickle and then she's craving more pickles. That's a craving. Is that what you believe?
So I didn't hear part of that. So go ahead. Sorry. Can you hear me?
No, you're fine. So what I said was triggers are thoughts, right? They're just thoughts. Yeah. And they're not anything other. They're nothing more than a thought unless we take action and put action behind it.
Yeah.
And then cravings, and this is what I was taught, that you can't crave something until you've taken it into your system. And so, for example, like right now, I'm sober. I haven't done any crystal. I haven't done any meth. And so I can't crave it. But if I was to have a relapse and take it into my body, then I could crave more of it. Normally what happens is it's a trigger that sets off that thought, and then I go use it and then crave it more. Okay. Am I thinking too much into it?
No, I don't think so. I just think, I think that people in general do confuse the term, you know. I think I agree with you in terms of I believe that the subconscious, you know, it wants that, it wants to you to get back to that feeling, that high dopamine feeling. It's always pushing you kind of to get back there. So anyway, I believe it puts the thought in there, so that could be what you're saying, the triggering thought. It's, to me, it's given to you, right? And that's why I like to say the cravings, or the trigger, instead of my trigger or my cravings, because at that point you own it and you're identified with it. I think that's important too, is that if you can say it's the trigger, like I'm experiencing a trigger right now. There's a lot of, with my guys, there's a lot of power in, well, with anybody, there's a lot of power in the way that you phrase it. So, because if you can say I'm experiencing a trigger, that means you can view it, you can study it, and it's there. And then, like you said, then you can decide what to do with it, right? That's when they said playing the tape forward. Like if there's a trigger to use, can we say all the words here?
Yeah, I never have any issues on Facebook
Okay.
at all.
So I work with gay men. So if there's a trigger to use crystal meth, and the next thought that's given to you, right? There it is. So I say you can follow it or finish it. So when you follow it, that's when you add to it. Yeah, that would be hot. I wonder if that guy's available. I remember when I had this not great time with it. So when you add to it, then you start the momentum toward relapse. Or you can finish it by saying, last time I relapsed, I went into a depression, or my life fell apart the last time I used it. You just finish it with a thought that associates your subconscious more with pain than pleasure. And that finishes it off.
I never heard of anybody say it that way. So I've always said, play the tape all the way through and use the example of, whenever I think about using, or I have because usually it's just like a fleeting thought, like it'll just come out of nowhere. I could be having the best day, and all of a sudden, oh, it would be nice to do a little doot, little, and I will, okay, Nicole, yeah, it will feel good initially, but what does that lead to? And I really I've had to train my brain to get past the part of euphoria, the euphoric great feeling that I feel, because I'm not even going to lie and act like it doesn't feel good. Like, I hate when people act like getting high wasn't enjoyable. That's why we stayed doing it for so long.
Yeah.
Because it felt really good, But what doesn't feel good is losing custody of my son.
Right.
And that's what I really have to get to. So I've never heard anybody say finish it. That's finishing it. That's taking us to the point of no return. Drugs and alcohol, whatever substances it may be, is going to take us to that eventually, right? Somebody asked me today, they said, do you think somebody that uses drugs responsibly is an addict? And I have people ask me that a lot as well.
Yeah.
I believe that there are people out there that can use any drugs without having negative consequences, because they will just use in short, sporadic moments, and then they'll return back to their life.
Mm-hmm.
To me, addiction is not being able to control those moments in time and just using until the wheels fall off. Do you think that there's people out there? Do you believe there's people out there that can use responsibly crystal methamphetamine?
There are, and actually, I just took on a client. He's 63, and he's been using for 35 years. Still has a professional job, still functions, it's the only reason he wants to quit is because he knows it's going to affect his long-term health. And so there are certain people who can. They are the outliers, though. So what I see guys doing is finding an outlier and using that as an excuse, and a reason to keep going back. Well, if he can, I can. Well, obviously you can't, because you don't have a car, a job, or money right now, or a home. So I don't think you can. But there are some people who are able to do it long term. I've seen who do not have, they have a safety net that does not let them hit rock bottom. They live in the house that grandma left them, or they live with parents that are totally fucking delusional and they just think, oh, he's an adult, he's gone for weeks at a time, and they can't let him come back. So there's a lot of guys out there that they cannot hit rock bottom, so they keep bouncing, they keep using for a long period of time. Now, physically though, it's affecting them. And this new meth that's out, the psychosis is horrible. The psychosis hits quickly. I'm having all these people, contact me. There was a guy who used 2 times, he smoked. He is in long-term paranoia of dying. He's in the emergency room like every week, and he hasn't used for a year. This stuff, it's strong, it's pure, it's 100% pure. A lot of times, the stuff that's coming out of the cartel, and so sure, there may be some people who have used it long term, but I think they built a resistance up from the old stuff, and maybe the new stuff isn't effective. But when you use new stuff on a pure body, it sends you. There's guys that go right to the emergency room. I had one guy who would have had liver failure the first time he used it if he hadn't somehow got himself to the emergency room. So yeah, I think that there are outliers. There's outliers to everything.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I agree. And I was the kind of person that, like, when I didn't want to see that I had a problem, like, I was still trying to, like, justify, like, I still had a job. I still had my car. I hadn't had my son yet, so I didn't have any responsibility really. And I had a friend like that who, her parents were like really wealthy, and they bought her own apartment, and she never had to like leave there. She could live there for the rest of her life. And so her house just became like our place, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so that was like that was kind of like something that would catch me, because my parents were like, you can't come here if you're under the influence. We love you. We want to support you. We want you to get better, but we can't allow you to come in our home, the way you are. Because I would go into their house and I would get into my mom's purse and take money or take my dad's credit cards. And I could not be trusted. And so earlier we were talking about, there's this old school generation who believes in like really tough love. And then there's a new generation of people who are like there's a tough love generation. And then there's the people that are far to the right hand side who believe in only harm reduction. And then I believe I'm like right in the middle, because I believe that it's important for us to hold ourselves accountable and hold our loved ones accountable that are struggling, and let them know, like, you can't keep acting like that and it be okay.
Yeah.
How do you feel about tough love? And how do you feel about tough love?
Mm-hmm.
And then I know you've noticed the harm reduction community, especially on TikTok. Have you noticed those people yet?
Yeah, somewhat, but I think so. Are you saying pro harm reduction?
Yeah, pro harm reduction. Yeah. I support harm reduction, but there's this like kind of like group of people that I feel like they take it to the extreme, to where it's almost kind of works against people as well, like accepting people's like horrible bad behavior and not like telling them, hey, you need to make a change. Like allowing it almost.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the reasons why traditionally we've been so black and white, is that we have people who take things to the extremes, especially addicts, take things to the extreme. And I think we're typically afraid to say harm reduction is okay. I think, but it's got to be a balance, right? I think there's time for harm reduction, and there's, and there's people who aren't, they're just not ready. Harm reduction is not going to work. They're too far gone. that they need to go into rehabilitation, or they need, something extreme. Harm reduction is not going to do anything for them. And then, of course, there's people who are still just going to use, right? And, there's a lot of people who have a real problem with giving out clean needles and sanitary water and alcohol swabs and, all the supplies that you get. When I was using, if I hadn't had the needle exchange people, I probably would have ended up in the hospital, because I was going to use no matter what. And and if I didn't have those, I probably would have got Hep C. I probably would have, I would have gotten infections or whatever, because we were so risky. We were shooting up, going down the interstate.
It's so funny that you say that, because I'm in Arkansas. And so me and my husband, when I started dating him, I was shooting up long before I met him. But when I started dating him, we would try to go to get clean syringes with money. We had money. We were paying customers, going into the Walmart, going into the Kroger, going to the Walgreens.
Yeah.
And they would not sell us insulin needles. They wouldn't sell them to us. They would tell us no. And so I was just like, I caught hepatitis C because of this very reason. We drove out to a Kroger pharmacy. Then we went to Walgreens. Then we went to, I can't remember it was Walmart. Walmart was the last place that turned us down. And I was like, man, fuck that shit. And so we went to my friend's house, and my friend, it was so crazy because he was like, I have hepatitis C, Nicole. And I was like, it's okay. I'll just bleach it. And I thought that running bleach and warm water through it would get rid of it. Well, it didn't. And I caught hepatitis C, and I gave it to my husband as well.
Oh, wow. Wow.
So I got treated for it first, and then he got treated for it second.
Yeah. 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 People just have a hard time with that, because they're saying, well, you're giving them a license to use, but they're going to use. Now, harm reduction in my world of gay men is sometimes, because, in the gay meth world, we have Zoom rooms where you can go on and use with men around the world. There's, Telegram rooms. There's rooms on all kind of, there's rooms on all kinds of platforms where you can go and use in real time. So that becomes a harm reduction, because if you can use at your home on camera without going out to party and, and have risky sexual behavior, that's a form of harm reduction that I encourage.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. They have that phone number. It's like 1-800-NEVER-USE-ALONE. And then people can call it, and they'll put you on the phone with somebody who, if you go silent and they can't get in touch with you anymore, they can't hear you, they will dispatch emergency services to your home.
Oh, wow.
Isn't that cool?
That is cool.
But I mean, honestly, I did not know that gay guys had little chats and get on and get fucked up together. Y'all are wild.
Yeah. Yeah. Those rooms get really racy too, because in the meth world, your dopamine gets higher, and then you want to get higher and higher and higher. And so you get more racy and racy and racy. So there's a lot of illegal things going on in those rooms too.
I bet.
I mean, that's illegal anyway. But I mean, even worse. There's a lot of stuff that goes on in those rooms, and then different types. Like there's gay. I don't know. Can you say any word on here?
I don't know. I don't know.
Like gay Nazis.
Okay.
So there'll be a room of gay Nazis doing meth together.
Dressed up like them?
Like swastika. Well, they're not dressed.
Oh, okay. Like Aryan Brotherhood guys.
Yeah. So they'll have swastikas.
Skinheads.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Yeah. We got a lot of those down here in Arkansas.
Yeah. So I think if that's going to scratch your itch and stop you from going out and sleeping with 5, 6, 10 men, then do it. The same with, we have our own meth porn. I don't know if there's straight meth porn or not, but there's gay meth porn where
I bet there is. I know
doing,
that in
yeah.
my experience as a straight woman, like being high and being with guys that were high, like they would, I would see them using it while they watched it, but I don't think I ever seen anybody using it in the shows, in the flicks, you know? It was just like them. A lot of times it would be guys that I was hanging out with who that would be like their obsession, and they would be over there for like 12 hours straight. They wouldn't even notice me over there.
Yeah. No. I mean, that's, yeah. And I mean, that's how it is too with, I mean, there are a lot of parties where the gay guys get stuck on the phone or on the porn, and they're not having sex with each other because they're just, tweaked out.
Hey,
Yeah.
Tiffany. Hey, Laura. Hey, everybody. Everybody's saying, wow, we came into this conversation at an interesting point. We were actually right before this, you guys, we were actually talking about, can you repeat just really quickly, Dallas, what you were saying about finishing it? I want you guys to hear what Dallas has to say about triggers. Go ahead.
Yeah. So, and I call it, so it's funny because that you're differentiating between trigger and craving, because I will say craving. Sometimes I use words that aren't really correct just because they're recognized.
Yeah, I use them interchangeably.
Yeah. But so with a trigger or a craving, so I think the subconscious owns that, because the subconscious is trying to get you to repeat a cycle or a pattern, right? And I've been sober from crystal meth for 6 years, and I still get a trigger popping in my mind out of the blue sometimes, or they really come into during the twilight. So it's like right before you go to sleep. It's in between wake and sleep. There's this state of mind where your brain goes into a meditative state, and I think your prefrontal cortex kind of shuts down, and it slips through. The subconscious slips through. That's when I have my using dreams, which are kind of like flashbacks. They're PTSD flashbacks, basically. But anyway, so the subconscious will give you the trigger or the craving, and it's important for you to say, I am experiencing a trigger, because people will get into the victim state of, oh no, my trigger, I'm triggered, and it becomes your identity, and you take it on, right? But it's really not yours. It's from the subconscious. So the subconscious gives it to you, and then you get to choose, because it's there. You get to choose, do you want to follow it or finish it? So following it is adding another thought to it in the direction of relapse. So for a gay man, if I get a thought of I want to use crystal meth, my next thought might be, ooh, I wonder if my dealer's home, or I remember this really great time I had with it, or wouldn't it be hot if? And that gives it momentum and heads it in it, and if you can follow it right into a relapse most of the time, or you can finish it by giving it a negative association, like remembering the last time you relapsed and how depressed you were, or remembering a really bad time. And honestly, there's a lot of bad times we have as gay men with crystal meth. It's not all fun, especially toward the end of it. It doesn't become fun anymore. We're just doing it in hopes that it will be. But you can always bring up something negative, or bring up the fact that, you lost your house, you lost your car, you lost your friends, whatever it is that gives it a negative association. So there's a positive association or a negative. What you're doing is training the subconscious to associate meth with the pain instead of the pleasure. So it's following it or finish. It's like putting a comma on it or putting a period on it.
Right. I love that. Like that makes so much sense to me. And I've just never heard anybody explain it like that. And it's just, so from now on, we're finishing it. We're not following our triggers we're not skipping to the loo, my darling, down into the sunset with methamphetamine, baby. We're finishing it and giving it the bird. Fuck you, meth. You know what I mean?
Right.
Jennifer says, my withdrawal started yesterday and y'all are helping me, Nicole. Jennifer reached out to me because she's coming off of opioids, and she's been going through it, the struggle. And so, Jennifer, I'm glad you're here, and I'm glad that we're on live. We were going to do this over on TikTok. We couldn't figure it out. We were echoing, and there was like 17 boxes. And so Dallas was like, let's go over to Facebook. And I was like, all right, let's go. Hey, Manders. Tiffany says, that's good to know. I never thought about that. The dreams and the cravings are hell. Yeah. Here's a question for you, Dallas. Using dreams. Do you have using dreams?
Yeah. So for me, they're not dreams anymore. I call them my PTSD flashbacks, because I mean, not to marginalize or minimalize soldiers in the war, but they come back, and when they're least expect it, maybe it's a loud noise, or maybe it's when they're getting to fall asleep. Scenarios come and overcome their thoughts from being in war. The same thing happens with methamphetamine, because the experiences you have them when your dopamine is so high that it's recording, it's imprinting like a Polaroid camera, I call it, just imprinting on your mind. It's so hard that they're there. And so when I start to go offline, which is right before a nap, I nap every day. I like my days to be 2 days, but I nap every day in the middle of the day, and then when I go to sleep. And so when I am in that twilight, and they call it, your brain goes into, I mean, it might be alpha brainwave, but it's the same as being in a meditative state. But when you do that, I think that's when I get the PTSD flashbacks. There's scenarios of when I used randomly. I'll be back in the room with the guys, and I will start reliving the whole night as if I'm back there. So it's a replay. So it's not really a using dream anymore. I did have those in the beginning where in my sleep I would dream, but these flashbacks are always, because when I would use the needle, I would always watch, of course, but that was imprinted on my brain. That's the whole climax of the flashbacks. And so I have to kind of wake myself up, pat myself down, like I'm here, nothing's happening, switch over, roll over, something to jar my body and get myself to go to sleep. But that's how I experience them.
I have them. It's always like right when I don't know if I see anything or if anything happens before this point, but it always starts for me, at least how I remember it, when I'm doing the acting. And it's always in my forearm right here. I can always see it right in the bend of my arm. And then I will wake up right when it starts to go in. Like I like a gasp, and I will literally run to the bathroom looking at my pupils to see if because that's how fucking real it feels. It will feel like it happened, but it didn't happen,
Yeah. Well, the brain really remembers that sensation, because I can be I guess the biggest trigger for me lately has been the gym, because my veins are popping out.
Yep.
And so I was sitting on something, and I looked over, and my veins were just huge. And then it was a flashback of the needle going in. My body reacted exactly as if I had shot up. I got the cold feeling in the back of the throat, the cough.
Yep.
Heart sped up, sweat. I got an erection. I mean, it was the whole thing. My body remembers that. So it's stored in my cells.
That's so crazy, dude. How that, like, that's powerful. That's why so many people don't get sober. That's why so many people struggle going back and forth between these substances. Because in my experience, this happens to me with other drug drink. Like I have this experience with other substances, because I was abusing a lot of other substances. Meth was just my favorite, you know?
Yeah.
And so this is why so many people have struggles getting and staying sober, because it's like our body is kind of fighting against us. Our body and our minds are fighting against us. And it's so important to develop like healthy coping skills, a regimen. How have you trained your brain to work through these dreams? How have you, because I always see you out walking in the nature and stuff. Like, what did you do to like retrain your brain to where you're like healthy living, mind, body, and soul?
Yeah. Well, I had to start by identifying what my I am not enough was, right? Because I don't care who you are. If you're an addict, you have an I am not enough. And honestly, I think every single person has some I am not enough, right? I'm not skinny enough. I'm not pretty enough. I'm not smart enough. I'm not enough. I'm not normal enough. I'm not straight enough. I'm not something. And and I grew up in a situation where I was not enough for my religious side of the family, and I wasn't enough for my Hellraiser side of the family because I didn't fit in either one. So I had this belief about myself that my true self was going to be rejected, that people in general didn't like me. So for me, I had to drill back down and figure out how that belief was showing up in all parts of my life and reprogram it. And so back to that subconscious, when you start programming it that meth is more pain than pleasure, then honestly the cravings are less and less. And when they do come, they're easier to say no thank you. It becomes a default response. It becomes organic, and something that doesn't even, you don't have to try a lot. So for me, I had to just really start repeating different ways that I am enough. And so something that I do in my program, and I think these are the most, we hear about affirmations, but I use supercharged affirmations. So I go back through my life and I look at something I've accomplished. For instance, I stopped using crystal meth. So then what did it take for me to do that? Well, it took resilience, it took consistency, it took drive. But let's just take resilience, And so my affirmation could be, I am resilient because I stopped using crystal meth. And that means I'm resilient enough to do whatever the next thing is. Get hired at this job or build a relationship, something I would just use things from my life, even graduating high school or finishing or being in a relationship. I survived. I had kids, I survived being a father. If I am, loving enough to be a father, I'm loving enough to accept me just the way I am, period. So that's the route that I took, is I just started to find ways to erase that I am not enough and believe that and believe that in myself, and take it all internal. So because the moment that we base our happiness and our enoughness on anyone else, then it's volatile and it's shaky and it can go either way because it's depending on their actions. And that's the thing that sometimes I think we mistake in terms of when somebody's really welcoming to us and they're nice to us and they're supportive, we sometimes give all of our power to them because we're so grateful somebody's being nice to us in our recovery. And then we give their power away. And
I've done that many times.
Yeah. And then
got screwed.
Yeah. Yeah. It's connected to them at that point. And then you are connected to a volatile person who has ups, downs. They could leave you today. So it's really, you have to connect all of that back to yourself. And that's really what I had to do is, and that's why that, the 12 steps don't like it, but I believe I am my higher power. I am self-empowered. I am my higher power here because I make the choices. I'm connected to me. At the end of the day, I accept myself. I love myself. Everything else that I get from everyone else is just abundant over and above what I already have here. And that's what really caused me trajectory in my recovery.
I'm the same way, just so you know. I believe that the power is within me. I believe that I see a lot of people in the recovery community, they give all their credit over to, God saved me or Alcoholics Anonymous saved me. No, baby. No, I chose to change my life. You know what I mean? And it took every bit of me going through horrible experiences to make the choice to finally change my life. I actually saw somebody that they made a video and they were like, why do you think some people are anti 12 steps? And the lady was talking about, she said, because some people don't want to do the work. And I was like, no, it's not that. It's because the 12 step is just outdated.
Yeah.
And there's a reason why they have pushed it for so many years, because that was the only form or resource that they were offering in these multi-million-dollar treatment centers.
Mm-hmm.
And so when they don't have the answer to give you in the treatment center, and all they can give you is the big book and go to meetings, pray and meditate, and they're falling short. And I think that finally people are starting to realize that there needs to be more oversight on these places, and there needs to be more opportunities, resources to people, instead of saying, this is the only way, you have to go to rehab and do 12 step. That's what was given to me for 10 years. How can I work with that? One option, one treatment option?
Right. And the thing is, if it doesn't work, that's like you just said, it works if you work it. What that means is you're the problem.
I'm the problem. I didn't work it.
You're still not enough.
Right.
You're still not enough. And you'll be enough when you follow what we say. Yeah.
And that has been my experience for years, in and out of different recovery groups, in and out of different programs, is that I didn't do it the way they said that I should do it. So there, I'm flawed. I've never been accepted. I'm on a medication that helps me not use opioids. So my recovery is not valid. It's not valid. It's never been valid. And I'm less than. And the feeling of rejection by your own peers is the worst feeling in the whole wide world. And I'm still dealing with it 9 years into sobriety, you know? That is why I am so overly accepting to people, because I don't want anybody to ever feel like that. It's the worst feeling to not be accepted by the very people that you thought would be accepting to you, because you struggled with the same things that they struggled with.
That's right. Yeah.
You know?
Yep.
Sorry.
No, because you're right. I mean, most addicts are addicts because they didn't belong anywhere, and they're looking for places to be. Doing crystal meth gives you the chance to forget about it, that you don't, that you feel like you belong there, right? You forget that you're not accepted, and you forget all these. So you're really looking for a group to belong in, and then when you find this other group, and it's still like this fear-based. Yeah, you have to do what we say you do, or you don't belong here. Where then you feel like you belong nowhere, and of course you're going to go back to the drug, right? Yeah, I'm sorry that happened to you, and there's something else I was going to say along those lines. Oh, there was a group I had went to a conference, a 12-step conference, and there was a class. It was called Gray Areas of 12 Steps. And I was like, oh, well, this will be interesting. They were going to talk about plant medicine and other things. But it started out with this, the revered old timers were there, but they started out with them putting down the fact that people were taking mood stabilizers or SSRIs. That we didn't have that when we were going through 12 steps. I'm like, you're going to sit here and say that you're not sober if you're taking SSRIs? Like, what?
They're literally our sponsor families. Like, I used to be a part of a sponsor family. Like my sponsor, my grand sponsor. My grand sponsor sat down with my sponsor and was like, listen, she was on Lexapro. It wasn't like she was on Xanax or no dark. You can't be on that. It's blocking you from the sunlight of the spirit, and you can't have a spiritual awakening because you're on Lexapro.
Yeah. And FYI, Bill W was on LSD.
Right? I always tell people that, and nobody wants to hear it. They won't even acknowledge it. They did a whole Netflix series about that. about Bill W. and like mushrooms or psychedelics or something like that. I have to watch it. I didn't watch it, but I heard all about it because a bunch of people were talking about it.
Yeah, he was on LSD, and his, this story of him having this spiritual experience. It was there. It's believed because he was on LSD. He was having a spiritual experience on LSD. You have them on LSD, mushrooms, ayahuasca. I mean, you do have them. It's just, again, I think we just have this propensity to say all or nothing because we can't control people. If we say you're allowed to do it sometimes and sometimes you're not, like LSD or mushrooms, as long as they're not negatively affecting your life, and I have lost a lot of friends for my stance on cannabis or, alcohol. If you're sober for methamphetamine and you can have if you can drink wine and it doesn't trigger you to use, drink it.
Yeah, I know a lot of people that drink, have alcohol. Not a lot, but like on special. I'll be the first to tell you guys. When I went to Disneyland, or not Disneyland, but when I went on a business, like it was like a job trip 2 or 3 years ago, I had been sober for I think 6 years at that point. Hadn't had a drink, nothing. And me and my bosses, like my big bosses, we were all going to Nashville and we were out on the strip and everybody was having a drink. I wanted to have an amaretto sour. I ordered an amaretto sour. It was $13. Fucking pissed me off. It wasn't worth it. Fucking wasn't worth it at all. Yeah. But I ordered the amaretto sour, and my bosses are all like they're not in recovery, but they all work in the mental health space. And they're like, "You're sure that you're going to be okay?" They were like asking me, "Am I going to be okay?" I was like, "You guys, I'm not going to." Because I fucking had one drink at a Nashville bar on a vacation. Right. And I didn't. Am I promoting that everybody should go out and do that? No. But what I'm saying is, like, yourself. If whenever you drink alcohol or you smoke weed or you, whatever the case may be, in your heart of hearts if it takes you to the next point. And only you know that. And so for me, I had the amaretto sour. I was very mad because it was almost $20 and I didn't even get a buzz from it. And I'm a bang for my buck kind of girl. You know what I'm saying? So it was like, never again. What a waste. Right. I was pissed.
Yeah. Yeah. I just think recovery is all individual and it should be individualized and you should have the power to know what you can and can't do. Right. You should, but we're so scared to make those decisions because we won't be accepted. And somewhere people accept these definitions of sober. They accept them because that's been handed down for years. Just like a religion.
I know.
Without question. But who is the rule?
Who's in charge here?
Who's in charge?
Can we write them? Can we have a petition to vote them out?
But it's like, because I just think if you can step into your power, just like I said about giving your power away, even the thing is, it's a lot of times we give our power away in the most disguised way to somebody who's so sweet and nice to us. But we have such low self-confidence and self-worth. We give our power away to them, because we feel like we should. We should be honored that they like us, right? But the same way for recovery is if you can step into your power, be empowered, make decisions on your own about what you're going to do and what you're not going to do, that carries over into your job, your relationships, your marriage, your friendships, everywhere. You take control of your life and you're not always looking over your shoulder at whatever the big book is saying, or, are you going to have to do a walk of shame? Or, I see these, I stay out of these recovery Facebook groups a lot because I get so triggered. Talk about a trigger. This does trigger me in terms of anger, but this guy said, he said something about he slipped again, he used last night. And this guy says, well, in NA, we have an unlimited supply of white chips, something like that. And I was just like, what are you talking about?
You know what I would say to that person? I would say, okay, what did you learn from the experience? You didn't lose any of the time that you built up into this point because you learned so much. You've learned this whole time. So instead of thinking about it as a failure or a loss, instead look at it as a gaining learning experience.
Right. Exactly.
And whenever I've had moments where I wouldn't call them like relapses, but like mental health wise, like I have really been knocked back a couple of, notches. I didn't go out and get fucked up or use drugs, but I was really struggling mentally. Right. And so I try to like really look inside of myself. What is going on? That's the driving force of why I'm feeling this way. Why am I acting out? For example, last year, I got myself into some online drama and I was in it for like 12 months. I'm talking battling with the girls. Okay. Back and forth, bickering, making videos about each other, it was not good. And I had to really take a step back and look at it. I made amends. I apologized to so many people. I've talked about it over and over again, how I really made mistakes and I wish that I had not acted like that. But I had to think, like, what was going on? Why was I doing that? Something else was going on that was causing me to kind of like act out. At that time, I had jumped off of my mental health medication. I thought I had it all under control, and I was having like manias. And I'm not blaming my actions on that, but it had a lot to contribute to it. I wish I had listened to my doctor and done my taper the correct way instead of just like shaving it down quickly and then jumping off, because I jumped off of like Lexapro and Wellbutrin at the same time.
Wow.
I've been off of them for over a year though, and I feel great now. And and it's actually been a good thing, but it could have been bad. Instead of doing drama and being a little bitch on the internet, I could have went out and made a big mistake. You know what I mean? I could have done something else. Instead, I was getting my dopamine hits from being a drama mama.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's so easy to get involved with stuff of that, especially here in the recovery community online. Like you're saying, like, oh, I woke up this morning and there was a post in this group that has 70,000 people. I don't think Nikki Pludre should be in this group because she already has a large following. So basically, because I have a large following, I'm not allowed to be in a recovery support group.
Wow.
And I was like, and it was the person who posted it was anonymous. So I don't know who they were. And so I was like, I woke up this morning, my feelings were hurt because it made me feel like, again, people don't like me. They don't want me to be a part of the recovery community. And I called my girlfriend and I was like, should I not be in recovery groups because I already have established following online? And she was like, that is the stupidest thing. That's exactly why all of us are in groups, so we can all connect with each other.
Right.
And she was like, you can't make everybody happy. And some people are going to, they're just going to be nasty or whatever. But again, it's like so easy to get caught up in, I guess, other people's being upset or their insecurities that they kind of like project onto us. And it's easy for me to pick those up from people. Like I'll pick it up and I'll carry it with me for the rest of the week. The rest of the week, I'm going to be going in my mind like, do I not belong? Should I not go? Maybe I should leave that group. You know what I mean?
Yeah, right. Second guessing. Yeah. I know.
I hate it.
I don't know. It's vicious. It's really vicious on Twitter too, by the way.
Oh, I don't even go on Twitter. You are somewhere where I will not even step my toe on there.
I have not removed myself, but I've quieted down on there too, because they will attack bad. Just to tell me that I'm killing people, and making fun of me and my sober coaching, and
why? Because how are you hurting anyone by providing them with resource? You are providing such a valuable resource to this specific community, gay men that struggle with crystal meth addiction. You guys, I have been watching people online for years. I've never come across anybody like Dallas, who does it like Dallas, who has the knowledge like Dallas, who connects with these men one-on-one like he does, and like has you are doing it for the right reasons. And I know this because we talk offline, and I know your heart. I know how hard you work to help people. I know how you work yourself to death, basically, and I just don't understand. Again, I think people do that because they see something in you that they wish that they could accomplish, and they don't have the ability, or they don't feel they do have the ability. They could do what you're doing, but they just don't.
Yeah, I always know everything in life is not personal, right? So when somebody comes after me, I know it's something. It's a trigger for them, I also kind of giggle because, Bill W. coined the phrase emotional sobriety. And emotional sobriety is what you achieve after the 12 steps. But then you have these people in 12 steps coming after you in such a vicious, mean way. They're relapsing emotionally. They just don't, they're not seeing that. They're just choosing, just like what Christians do with the Bible. They're choosing parts they want to read and follow, and disregarding the parts they don't want to read and follow.
Yeah. We've been on here for an hour. So is there anything that you want? What do you want to say to wrap it up?
I was going to say I have to wrap it up. Well, we didn't talk a whole lot about triggers and
we talked about a lot of different things, though. I just love listen to me, Dallas. I love talking with you on live. I think that the more we do this and become comfortable with each other and bouncing back and forth, the more people see us coming on here and being regular. It's just going to build and build and build and build from there. So I would love to make this, like I said, a weekly or bi-weekly thing with you. If you're willing, I'm willing. We're going to do this Wednesdays. So we're going to do it here on Facebook from now on.
Okay. Yeah. Look, we could even alternate. I could do it. I could use my platform, and we can do Instagram and Facebook at the same time.
Okay, let's do that. So you guys, and Tiffany says that this helps a lot. Like it really does. And we've had quite a few people that have been coming in and out and commenting. And so thank you guys all for being here and supporting us and just sharing the live and commenting and engaging with our content. But me and Dallas are going to have a regular live stream. Are we going to do it every Wednesday?
Let's do every other at first.
Sounds like a plan. I'm down.
Yeah.
We're going to do every other Wednesday.
Yeah. And I'll have to plug my podcast comes out on Thursdays.
What's coming out tomorrow? Tell us.
The Aftermath. It's called, tomorrow's episode is I'm Here, I'm Queer, I'm Sober.
I love it.
It's a gentleman who has formed a group called Here, Queer, Sober. It's an open organization for anyone who identifies as queer or allies who are sober. And they're having their very first conference in New York in September of next year. And so we're just talking a lot about his story, but also, the specific struggles that a queer person has, because it's been proven, studies show queer people are more apt to be addicted, and early on too. And alcohol and drugs are such a part of the gay culture that it's become out of control.
Where can people find the podcast? Can they find it on? Tell us that.
Anywhere you listen to podcasts, Spotify, Apple, whatever. But
it's called After Meth.
After Meth. That's the trick. Is
Aftermath, but After Meth.
Right.
I love that.
If you type in Aftermath, it will autocorrect to Aftermath, and it won't come up. So you have to make sure you put the E instead of the A, Aftermath. Yeah.
Okay. Tomorrow, what time do you push it out at?
It's 7 a.m.
7. Oh gosh. Fresh early in the morning. Okay, guys. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to drop Dallas's, all his socials will be in the comment section and in the description box of this live stream. Please make sure you go over and follow Dallas. And we won't be on Wednesday next week, but we'll be on the following Wednesday, right?
Yeah, that works for me.
All right, Dallas. Thanks for joining me. I love you, and I'll talk to you later. Text me.
Okay, I will.
Bye, guys.